Next up is Joash Thomas, who's become a really dear friend. He's been a leader on so many fronts and came down from Canada with a dear friend. So glad you're here, bro. And also glad to be with you, dude. Yeah. Give it up for Joash.
Thanks, Shane. Yeah. Well, for those of you wondering who this bootleg Jesus from The Chosen is, my name is Joash Thomas, and what a joy it is to get to be here with you. Many of you, my literal heroes, people who've shaped me, taught me so much. So I'm just a guy standing in front of the Western Church asking us to care about justice for all our marginalized neighbors. And so much of this comes from my own story. So, we just heard a story of Diana, who fought in the machinery of empire by picking up a gun. For me, I fought in the machinery of the American empire by working in Georgia Republican politics. In fact, I'm a two-time immigrant to North America, so born and raised in the Indian church, then moved to the States, and I wanted to be American so bad that I assimilated into the empire structures and had that journey of getting saved by Jesus again, this time from the machines of empire, and then being put on this journey of figuring out the justice of Jesus for myself. You see, Jesus says to his disciples, "You are the light of the world," right? But you see, so often we forget what that means and what that looks like. And the empires have us fooled into thinking that light only starts to show up in us after we put our faith in Jesus, right? But as Miss Lisa reminded us so beautifully tonight, this light of God was stamped in us from the moment of our birth. In fact, the moment of creation. And this is how ancient, indigenous, pre-colonial Christians, like my ancestors in southern India, understood Jesus. And so much of the work that I do now, I worked in international human rights over the past decade, encountered Jesus in the margins in very powerful ways, but then also came across church leaders who would say things like, what's the point of rescuing these kids from sex trafficking if their souls go to hell? Aren't they dead in the water anyway, right? And it was that journey that pushed me to ask questions like, where is this coming from? And I came across this historical event called colonization, right? And I realized that colonization wasn't just bad for my ancestors in the Global South Church, it was also bad for the Western Church because it shaped us to resist justice for all our marginalized neighbors here. And so in this journey of figuring out the justice of Jesus has really been a journey of retrieval for me and hopefully for the Western Church, and understanding what are the ways in which the ancient Christians understood Creator God and neighbor before empire showed up and corrupted our faith. And so my family has been Christian for 2,000 years. We're St. Thomas Indian Christians. It was the Apostle Thomas who brought the gospel to my ancestors. And we had very unique ways of understanding God and neighbor until the colonizers showed up 1,500 years later and tried to convert us into their narrow dualistic ways of understanding God and neighbor. At the same time, you had a Western Christian tradition called Celtic Christians who, before they were colonized, they also understood God and neighbor in unique ways. In fact, they believed that to look at the face of a newborn baby was to look at the face of God. And these are ancient, lost ways of understanding God and neighbor in Christianity that have been robbed by the empires. Because you see, empires divide to conquer, but the gospel of Christ unites to heal, right? So much of my invitation to the Western Church is to invite us on this journey of retrieving what was lost, what was stolen by empire, by exploring the theology of my ancestors and Palestinian Christians and Celtic Christians and folks like that all over the global church before empire showed up, so that we can resist peacefully the empire of our day, the American empire. I live in Canada now. I've been there for the last 4 years, but the reality is that we live in the shadow of the American empire too. What happens here affects us there as well. And spaces like this, Christians like you coming together to peacefully resist the ways of empire reminds me so much of my ancestors and the ancient Christians, and it's just an honor to be here. One last thing I want to say is I'm here tonight with my girlfriend, Krista. She is an Ignatian spiritual director. If anyone wants to explore what spiritual direction looks like in general, she'd be happy to connect with you as a resource as you explore that. But thank you for being here, and it's such an honor to be here, Shane. Yeah, thank you. Oh, one last thing. Sorry, real quick. Yes, we are. So I just wrote a book called The Justice of Jesus that goes into everything I said, and Shane so kindly endorsed it. So I'd love to give away the book to anyone who wants one now. Yeah, there you go. And I'll have copies for sale at the back for the rest of this weekend. So thank you. Just pass it back. Thanks, Steve.
Bro. Freestyling it tonight. He found out like 2 hours ago. He was going to share a word with us. Thank you, bro. Thanks for being here. Going to hang out too. Going to take the hammer, right, Joash? Going to beat on a gun? Yeah, both of y'all. Something Ignatian about that too. Come on, yeah. All right.